Hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar. Today is the last webinar that will cover part 2 or money management unit for consumer math. And this is myself as usual. I want to introduce myself. My name is Miriam and I have Master's in Education and also Pennsylvania Certification to teach math, high school math in the state of Pennsylvania. And today we're going to specifically look at different topic. For the last webinars, we have looked at measurements and how to convert measurements from one system to another. Today we're going to focus on salary. How can we calculate different types of salary? As usual, of course, during this webinar, we're going to have a presentation. We're going to have some topics discussed during that webinar and also self-check questions. And those questions are not graded, of course. They are just given to you to try during the webinar and assess yourself if you think that you need more assistance or if you want to go back to the lesson and do more reading and more practice. Your questions, of course, are welcome. Please keep them relevant to what we speak about today. And you are able to type in the questions box. Registrants will receive a recorded webinar. Whenever today's webinar is concluded, then you just want to allow about 3-4 hours for the follow-up email to get to you, and then you'll have the webinar recorded and you're able to watch that as many times as you need. So again, the objective of today's webinar is how to calculate salary. So before we go ahead with the calculations, what are the different types of salary that you may have in your jobs? The most common ones are hourly rate, and that means that you are paid depending on how many hours you work. The other type is weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or annual rate. The most common one in the States is the annual rate. It's an annual salary. Another type is straight commission. That type 3 and 4 are more specific to salespersons. The fourth one is a base salary plus a commission. We're going to go over each type and going to explain how it's different and how to do the calculations to figure out your salary if you happen to work with a job that gives you hourly rate or annual rate and so on. Let's start with the hourly rate salary. So as I said, the hourly rate salary is that the more hours you work, the more money you make. So you basically get paid depending on how many hours you work per day. In that type of salary, overtime is paid as well. So if you work, for example, 40 hours a week, this is a full-time job, and then you have an opportunity to work another 2 hours a day for overtime, you actually get paid more for every overtime hour. So how would we then do that in calculations? How do we calculate the salary if you know that you get that much money per hour? So let's look at the example on the screen and see how can we figure this out. It's so simple, common sense, but it is really good to look at that and do the calculations and the math to be able to figure out how much money you would earn per week, per year, and so on. Stephen earns $11.86 per hour. So from that word per hour, we know it's an hourly rate. How much does Stephen earn in 1 week if he works 40 hours per week? So for each hour Stephen works, he gets $11.86. So it's common sense, multiply. So the salary in 1 week for Stephen equals to 40 hours times $11.86 since he earns that much in 1 hour equals to, you can use your calculator and multiply these two values, and that will get you the amount of earnings that Stephen will have or he earns in 1 week. $474.40. This is how much he makes a week based on that rate. Now, another question, you may want to plan ahead for vacation or anything like that. So if you have an hourly rate, you want to maybe calculate your annual salary. What would be the salary per year if you still earn $11.86 and only worked for 40 hours a week? So that way, when you know how much you're going to do a year, you can then divide your earnings towards expenses, towards entertainment, and so on. So how much does Steven earn per year? Well, we know that 1 year has 12 months. But since Steven now he earns $11.86 per hour and we calculated the earnings in 1 week, we need to ask how many weeks in 1 year? And there are 52. There are 52 weeks in 1 year. So if this is how much he earns per week, then how much then he will be earning in 1 year? Again, it's common sense. So 1 year of earnings equals to the money that he will earn in 1 week times 52. And that will give us the amount that he will earn in 1 year. So that would be $24,668.80. Any questions? And by the way, you are able to communicate your questions by typing your questions in the questions box. Okay, I think that is straightforward. So let's go to the next example. Heidi earns $12.20 per hour. So again, that is an hourly rate. She earns time and a half for every overtime hour. So instead of earning only $12.20 per hour for overtime hours, she earns 1.5 times of this amount. How much does Heidi earn per week if she works for 46 hours? So again, we need to divide the hours into the regular full-time hours, where the rate would be only $12.20, and then we have to figure out how many overtime hours she works. So that way we will multiply the time and a half rate times the overtime hours. So let's do that on the screen together. So since the full-time job is typically 40 hours, so we know that 40 out of the 46 hours, she will earn $12.20. Now, the remaining 6 are the overtime hours per week. So for 6 hours, she would earn. How would I calculate one time and a half of the hourly rate? I'm going to simply multiply 12.20 times 1.5, a time and a half. And that's it. And that will give you the hourly rate for overtime hours. So that would be $18.30. Now, how can I calculate then the earnings in 1 week if she works 40 hours, just regular hours, and 6 overtime hours in 1 week? So basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to multiply 40 times the rate and 6 times the rate, and then add the two amounts together, and that will give me the earnings in 1 week. Let's do that together. So the salary for 1 week equals 2. So I'm having two multiplication problems because one is for regular hours, 40 times 12 and 20 cents, plus I'm adding plus 6 overtime hours times the rate for these overtime hours, $18.30. And then we're going to multiply 40 times $12.20. That will give you $488 plus 6 times $18.30 will give you the overtime earning $109.80. to get the total amount of earning in that week, including the regular and overtime hours, simply add. Add this amount of money plus this amount of money. And that will give you that she will earn $597.80 in 1 week if she works for 46 hours with an hourly rate of $12.20 and with $18.30 as an overtime rate. Questions? Anything that was not clear? Okay, let's look at the second question on the screen. How much does Heidi earn yearly? Let's assume that she decides to work for 46 hours a week for 1 year. What would be the salary that she will be earning in 1 year? So simply again, for 1 week, she earns this amount of money. We have 52 weeks in 1 year, so the yearly earnings equals to, we're going to multiply the $597.80 times 52, and that will give us the yearly income that she will get. So $31,085.60. I just want to make a note here. When we calculate the earnings, that would be the gross earnings. That is included in that number, taxes and medical insurance and everything. So that number usually is calculated before deductions. Any questions? Okay, so let's get then to the next topic. Let's look at an example. And this example still talks about hourly rate salary, but it's a little bit complex. So let's read the question together and try to make sense of what we should do to get the earnings. Leonard earns $14.08 per hour. Also, he earns time and a half for overtime weekday hours and double for weekend hours. How much would Leonard earn next week if he works his regular full-time hours, which is 40, 2 overtime hours per weekday, and 10 weekend hours? So we have 3 categories of earnings per hour. The one is for the regular 40 hours a week, and that would be the $14.08. The second category is when they work overtime during weekdays, Monday to Friday. And then the third category is that when they work weekend overtime hours. So we need then to do, in our mind, we will have to do 3 multiplication problems. So the first one, so let's put a plan for ourselves so we don't get lost when we do the calculation. So the first category, again, I like to give myself notes on paper. So it's going to be regular hours, that would be 40 hours. And that would be the rate $14.08. And then overtime, that is weekdays, and that would be, so they said they're going to be 2 overtime hours per weekday. We have 5 weekdays in a week, so we have to multiply 5 times 2, so he will be working 10 overtime weekday hours, so 10 hours. What would be the rate for the 10 overtime hours during the weekday? Well, the question says time and half. Again, to figure this out, 14.08 times 1.5, because it's a time and a half. So when you multiply this amount, it will give you the hourly rate during overtime hours during weekdays. So that will give you $21 and 12 cents. This is how much they will give him for each overtime hour during the week. So that would be $21.12. The last category is the overtime in weekends. So he said he will work 10 weekend hours, so 10 hours. And that would be which rate? Well, the question says he will earn double. Double of what? Double of the original hourly rate. So simply to do that, to figure out the number or the number of dollars he will earn for that, multiply times 2, double it. So 14.08 times 2 will give you the hourly rate during weekend overtime hours. And that will give you 28.16 cents. So $28.16. So that would be the third category of pay. Now we need to figure out the earning in 1 week given those overtime hours. So earning in 1 week equals 2. I know that it's 3 multiplication problems. So 40 hours times the regular hourly rate, $14.08, plus overtime during the weekdays. It's 10 hours times the rate, $21.12, plus the overtime rate for the overtime hours during the weekends. That would be 10 hours again times the $28.16. Evaluate each multiplication and then add. So 40 times 14.08, use a calculator. For these kind of problems, we're not learning how to multiply manually. So I encourage you to use a calculator as opposed to do the multiplication with pencil and paper. So 14 times this amount will give you $563.20 plus the overtime would be multiply these two will give you $211.20 plus the overtime during the weekend will give you $281.60. And then add the 3 amounts, add this and that and this, and that will give you the total earning in 1 week. If Leonard works the regular hours plus 10 overtime weekdays hours and then 10 overtime weekend hours, $1,056 on that week. Any question? Anything that was not clear? So really, it's common sense. And I'm sure that if you're working or you're planning to work, you have seen somebody calculating their earnings or you have done that already. But it's good to look at it more closely and know exactly what to do. So that is for hourly rate. Any questions about this topic? Okay, let's move on to then a self-check question. So again, those questions are not graded. I don't keep track of who got that correctly or no. The main reason for that kind of questions to be part of the webinars is for you then to do the question and select your answers and you assess yourself. So Jasmine works full-time and earns $10 per hour and $15 per overtime hour. What would Jasmine's annual meaning yearly, salary be if she plans to work 3 overtime hours, and that is, of course, per week? So what should we do to get the annual salary based on the information that we have? So I'm going to keep the screen up for a little bit and then change it to the same question, but that time you'll have the chance to select your answers. So I'm going to give you like a minute and 15 seconds, maybe more time than usual, because some of you have asked that in the survey to have more time to work on the questions. So you can get your pen and paper and calculator and work on the question. Okay, I'm going to change the screen then to the same question, but it's going to give you the option to select an answer. And here you go. Okay, let's do the question together. So let's put a plan for ourselves. So for the 40 hours, that is the regular hours, she earns $10 per hour. And then she's planning to work for 3 overtime hours per week. And then she will earn $15. And that would be per week. The question is asking annually. So let's do a first step of calculating the earnings in 1 week, and then multiply that times 52, and then get the annual salary. So 40 times 10 plus 3 times 15. So 40 times 10 is, of course, 400, plus 3 times 15 is 45. Add. So the weekly earnings would be $445. This is not what the question is asking. It's asking for the annual. The annual salary equals to the amount of earnings per week times 52 weeks. Multiply, and that will give you the salary in 1 year, $23,140 per year. So that will get us to answer C is the right answer. Any question? Anything that was not clear? Okay, let's move on to another type of salary. Fixed salary. So fixed salary is an amount of money that you would earn weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or annually. The most common one in the States here is the annual salary, that you have to do your job, and at the end of the year, or you get paid bi-weekly or weekly, but the annual salary will not change. It will be the same amount. I mean, unless you get a raise or you get a merit raise, anything like that. But otherwise, your salary will stay the same for the year. So with that type of salary, there's no chance to get paid for overtime. So if your job requires more time to finish things on time, you're not going to get paid any extra. It's just the annual salary that you signed the contract for. Now let's do an example. You signed an employment contract for an annual salary of $45,000. You get paid bi-weekly. How much each paycheck or deposit is? So now, again, the most common one is the annual salary in the States, and usually we get paid bi-weekly. So how much money you will get to your bank account or in your paycheck every 2 weeks? So now, because 1 year has 52 weeks, this is how many 1 weeks in a year. How can we figure out how many bi-weeks, 2 weeks, how many each 2 weeks period in 1 year? Divide over 2. There are 26 bi-weeks in 1 year, meaning that if you earn an annual salary and you get paid bi-weekly, you will get paid 26 times during 1 year. So now to figure out how much money you will get bi-weekly, we divide the annual salary, 45,000, over how many times I'm going to get paid, 26 equals 2. So again, do the division using a calculator and you will figure out that bi-weekly you'll earn $1,730.77, and that is every 2 weeks. Questions? Okay, straightforward. Okay, let's look at a self-check question that is the whole idea about salary, fixed salary, nothing tricky. So it's everything common sense. And that should say fixed salary. You earn $790 bi-weekly. So every 2 weeks, you get paid $790 bi-weekly. What's your annual salary? So we're going to do the other way around. So in the previous example, we had the annual salary and we did figure out how much money we're going to earn or get a deposit for every 2 weeks. Here we have the bi-weekly pay. What would be your annual salary? So I'm going to give you the time to think about that. I'm going to change my screen to give you the question and a chance to choose your answer. Okay, let's do the question together. So basically, because you are getting paid 26 times a year and bi-weekly, you are getting paid $790. So you're going to multiply 790 times 26, not times 52, because you do not get paid weekly. You get paid bi-weekly. So 790 times 26 multiply, and that will give you $20,540 as an annual salary. So the answer is D. Again, if you got your questions here incorrect, it doesn't mean that you will never get the concept. It means that you need to go back and do some practice questions. It means that you want to rewatch the webinar. You want to send your questions through email or chat, but do not give up. It's just all about practice. Okay, the third type of salary, which is common for persons, is commission. Commission is a percent that the employee earns if they do an amount of sale. So you often hear the common example that we all know of is the real estate agents. They earn a certain percentage if they were able to sell a house. So they get a percentage of the price that they were able to sell the house for. So this is the common example that we see or hear about. So let's look at the example. Adam is a real estate agent who earns 3% on each property he sells. How much earning does Adam get from $100,000 sale? So he sold that one house for $100,000, what would be his commission? What would be his earning because he was successful to sell that house? If you remember from Unit 1, we spoke about the formula P, percentage, equals to the base times R, the rate. So we're going to go ahead and use the same formula. So the percentage here would be the amount of dollars in commission that Adam will earn. So that would be dollars in commission. This is the percentage. This is the earnings that he will get. The base is what did he sell the house for? Because he is getting 3% off of the 100,000. So the 100,000 is the base. And then R is the rate. The rate is the commission rate. The percent of the commission that he will earn if he was successful selling a house for a certain amount of money. So we can use the formula. The percentage of the commission, what we want to calculate, equals to the base, $100,000, times the rate is the commission percent. Remember, from Unit 1, we said that we cannot use the 3% as a 3 in our calculation. That is not correct. That will get you to the wrong answer. We have to change the 3% to the decimal form. And if you remember, we did that by dividing 3 over 100 to get us 0.03 as the decimal form of the 3%. And now we can use this decimal form in our calculations. And then multiply. 100,000 times 0.03 will give you a reasonable answer, $3,000. If you multiply 3, just did a mistake, and multiply 3 times that amount, the answer will be $300,000. Not realistic. The house was only sold for $100,000 and he earned 3 times. That's not reasonable. So whenever you get an answer, you need to think if this answer is really reasonable or it does not make sense. So $3,000 would be the earnings for Adam for selling a house for $100,000. Questions? Okay, let's look at a self-check question. So again, James' earnings as a car sales agent is based on a 5% commission of sales he makes. If James has sold 2 cars for $150,000 last month, what was his earning for that month? So sometimes salespersons, the only income they have is from the sales they do. So the only income that James will have or had that last month is the 5% commission on his sales. How much money did he earn selling cars for $150,000? I'm just waiting for you to, if you want to copy down the main information in the question on paper and make yourself a plan and then go ahead and do the calculations. So here's the question again on that screen. Okay, thank you for everyone. I see 100% voted, so everyone did vote. Thank you. So let's do the question together. So again, we're going to use the formula percentage or the commission in dollars equals to the base, the amount that he sold the cars for, times R, the rate of the commission, equals to the base is 150,000 times the R. We cannot use 5 as 5. We're going to use 5 as a 5 over 100, which is 0.05. And then multiply and that will give you the earnings that James did for selling cars for that much money. So $7,500 is the earning just for these two sales. Questions? Anything that didn't make sense or it was explained differently than your lessons? Okay. Let's then look at another topic. It's commission still, but it's a different kind of salary. It's a base salary plus a commission. Sometimes salespersons, they have a base salary that would not get affected by how high or how low they sell cars or houses or any products for, but they will make more money if they make more sales. So an example will explain what that means. Susanna earns $430 per month. So that is a base salary that it does not change. She will earn that every month, no matter how good or bad she does in sales. And also on top of that, she gets 4.5% commission from selling major home appliances. Now, if she makes sales for $15,000 during a month, what would be her total salary for that month? So remember, she earns $430 per month with no sales. And then plus to that, she earns 4.5% commission on each sale that she did, and she did $15,000 sale last month. What would be the earning on that month? So again, we're going to have two things to add. So we can have a plan for ourselves and say salary in month, or in that particular month, equals to the base salary, which is the fixed salary that would not change, plus the commission. Okay, the base salary is, we know that value, $430, not changed. And then plus we need to calculate the commission. We're going to use the same formula. P equals to B times R equals to, the base is the sales amount, $15,000, times R, not 4.5. 4.5 over 100 will be 0.045, equals to, multiply, and that will give you the commission that she did receive for that sale was $675. So that is $675 on top of the salary that she gets. Add, and that will give you the monthly earnings that she did last month, $1,105 for that month. That's it. Questions? Okay, let's look at another question. Okay, it looks overwhelming, but let's take that one step at a time. So let's read the question, try to extract the information, and then later on, we're going to use that table just to organize our work. Nick earns $200 weekly. So that is the base salary. He earns $200 no matter how good or bad he does in sales. So $200 is the base salary weekly. Plus, he gets a commission, 5.5% commission on sales he makes. If Nick has sold for $3,000 the first week of the last month, $2,000 the second week, $7,000 the third week, and $4,000 the fourth week. How much did Nick earn last month? So now, because the commission depends on the sales, the commission amount will differ from one week to another based on how much he was able to sell for. But the 200 will stay there for every week. So that table, we're going to have week 1 through 4. We have the base salary, and we can just fill this out now because we know it's 200 for every week, unchanged. Now, the ones that will change would be the commission. So for the first week, he did sell for $3,000. So $3,000, this is the base. So again, we're using P equals to B times R. So 3,000 is the B, the base, and then times the rate. The rate is 5.5. So that is 0.055 equals 2. Multiply, and that will get you that the commission that he did earn in that 1 week was $165. Okay, week 2, same formula. B is the base, the sale. The sale amount was $2,000 for the second week times the same commission rate equals to multiply. It will give you that he had earned in the second week for commission $110. Third week, he did do more sales, $7,000 times the same rate for commission equals to multiply. And that will give you the $385. And finally, the fourth week of the months, he did sell for $4,000 times the commission rate, multiply, and that will give us the cash amount that he got, $220 for commission. Now, to know how much he did earn each week, we need to add the base salary plus the commission that he was able to get. So we're going to add 200 plus 165, and the total earning for the 1 week is 365. Do the same thing, 200 plus the 110 will give you 310. 200 plus the 385 will give you 585. And then 200 plus the 220 will give you 420. Now, this is for each week. The question is asking the earning for the last month. So the whole amount that he did earn for the past 4 weeks altogether, just add the 4 amounts, and that will give us the earnings that he did during 1 month when he sold for those amounts of money each week. And that would be $1,680. And this is his monthly earnings. Question. Anything was confusing or was not clear? Okay, let's then do a self-check question. Nikki makes 5% in commission with a monthly base salary of $2,000. How much will Nikki makes this year if she was able to sell for $100,000 for this year? So she earns a base salary, a monthly base salary. She has a commission of 5%, and she was able to sell for $100,000 this entire year. What would be the total earnings that Nikki makes or made that 1 year? Okay, change the screen, take your time, and choose your answers. Okay, everyone has voted. Thank you. So let's do the question together. So again, let's do a plan. The plan is that the salary for 1 year, equals to the base salary, the $2,000 plus the commission, Now the commission we have to do for the amount of sales. Now, the $2,000 is not the accurate amount. It's 12 times $2,000 because we have 12 months in 1 year. So actually, the base salary for 1 year is going to be 12 times 2,000 is going to be 24,000 for base salary only per year, plus the commission. Again, the formula P equals to B times R equals to B is the $100,000, that's the sales amount, times the rate. The rate is 5, then the decimal form of that rate is 0.05 equals to, multiply both numbers. She did earn $5,000 in commission in that year, plus the base salary. 2,000 times 12 will give you the total amount of earnings per year, which is $29,000. So B was the correct answer. Any question? Okay. Now, I just wanted to, before I end this webinar, I wanted to show you where to find recorded videos for the rest of the unit. So the rest of the unit talks about taxes and talks about interest rates when you purchase big purchases and you choose a payment plan and instead of paying everything upfront cash. So the actual yearly interest rate and the tax mills are part of this unit. So there are videos recorded and they are added and available on your portal. So if you log into your account, if you have that kind of account that you have now on the screen, you will have to go to, of course, consumer math, money management, which is unit 2, and then section 2.3, and then this video icon will give you where to go for the video for the actual yearly interest rate. For the tax mills, it's section 2.5, and again, there is a video there for the tax mills. So make sure that you watch those videos because these two topics are challenging. So make sure that you read the videos, watch the videos, and if you have questions, of course, I'm going to show you later how to communicate your questions. If you have a different kind of account like this one, it's going to be the same idea. So you're going to have recorded lectures under Unit 2. If you click on that, it will give you the list of recorded lectures under this unit. Sometimes you will have like a gray button across from lesson 2 or part 2 that says video. So click on that gray button and that will also lead you to the recorded lectures. Any questions about that part on where to find videos? Okay, now how can you communicate your questions? Or before that, I need to, as I always remind you, that you have to study the lessons. Again, I have to say that if you watch anyone doing the math, it doesn't necessarily mean that you learn the topic. You have to pick up your pencil, paper, keep a notebook, and do the problems yourself, and you have to make sure that your answers are correct. How to do that? Go to the answer key. For all of the discover more questions or practice questions, we also give the answer key. So compare your answers with the provided answers. If you still think that your answer is correct and our answer is not correct, give us a call or email or chat. But you will need to read the study unit, do the practice questions, check your answers. Maybe if you want to rewatch that recorded webinar, that is another thing to do. Khan Academy, that's not measurements and data, but Khan Academy is usually a good site to go for. So you can go to khanacademy.org and you can search for the topic commission. And you may find good, brief, and concise and good-looking videos there. It's not required, but it's an extra resource if you'd like to look at them. How can you reach for help? You can call. The best thing I like is to schedule an appointment. So myself or the TA or you and you also will be ready at that specific date and time. We can call and we can speak about those problems that you are not understanding. So you can use that link to schedule the appointment. You can text message or chat if you have a really brief question, or you can email if you have a detailed question. How can you email or chat? Two kinds of accounts. If you have this kind of account, you want to go to the help center and click on ask a question. And then you may have to click on the search button with no typing of any keywords. And then you will have this form. You want to fill it out with your subject, your questions, and then submit or continue with your submission. Or if you have this kind of the account, it's the same thing. It's just a different setup of the where to find things on the portal. Help and support. Click on the search button and then fill out the form and continue with your submission. Any questions on how to reach for help? Okay, so that is it for the webinar. Thank you for your attendance and attention, and thanks for participating in the self-check questions. The survey is uploaded this time, so it's only 3 brief questions. I mean, tell your opinion honestly, just nicely. And if you have any recommendations that you want to see improvements in this webinar, you're free to say whatever you think will be the best thing to see next time. Or if you liked something that we did together in this webinar, of course, I would like to read them. So take your time to submit the survey. And of course, if you have any questions after today's webinar, I showed you how to reach out for help. So I'll be happy to hear your questions. Anything that I can answer before I conclude the webinar. Okay, thank you again and good luck in the exam.